Today I'm going to be talking about knives for hiking, trekking or backpacking in the UK primarily. When would I choose to carry a sheath knife versus a Swiss Army knife or a Leatherman? When would I choose to carry an Opinel? All my opinion, I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree. So please post something down in the comments, and of course, as ever, if you do find it useful or thought-provoking, do please like and subscribe. First up, the Opinels. Probably the knives I carry the most for most of my outdoor adventures. So the Opinel, for those who aren't familiar, is a fine bladed French pocket knife, available in a locking blade in sizes over 6, and in stainless steel. The top one here is a size 7 in stainless, and the bottom one is a size 5 in carbon steel, which is actually the largest Opinel you can legally carry in the UK day to day. So starting with the number 5, this is basically my day-to-day carry knife, but also one that I would choose to take for fast, light hiking trips in the hills. It's a thin, sharp blade, you know, not suitable for heavy-duty tasks like splitting kindling or something, but actually perfect for things like slicing an apple, cutting some cheese, or trimming a toenail, or things like that, where a small fine bladed knife is super useful. For slightly longer trips, I will step things up to the number 7. So the number 7 is a locking blade, so not legal carry for or not legal for everyday carry in the UK, sort of without good purpose. But it's again a great knife. Now this is a choice I'll take for sort of longer hiking trips or treks. Again, a fine bladed knife, but a bit bigger, so suitable for slightly more heavy duty tasks, and also good for things like fish filleting. So if you do a bit of fishing in the hills, it's that fine blade is really quite versatile for food prep and those kinds of things as well. Anybody sort of outdoors person is fairly likely to have one or two in their collection. Super versatile, and my number one choice for day-to-day pocket knife usage or standard trips or days out on the hills. Next up is the good old Swiss Army knife. Now some of you may be surprised I haven't chosen this as my favourite for sort of hiking days out or trips in the hills, and the reasons are pretty straightforward. Basically, they're famous for being multi-tools ultimately, so they carry a lot of things on top of the blade, so corkscrews, tin openers, saws, etc. But the reality is that those are all things I don't need on standard shorter trips out into the hills, or even longer trips out into the hills. I'm not going to be carrying cans and bottles, etc. So why carry the extra weight? Additionally, the blade is the thing I need the most, and it's not as good as an Opinel as a day-to-day blade for things like slicing apples or cutting string and those kinds of things, just by virtue of the fact that it's connected to all this other stuff. So if you're cutting food, they get gungy, etc., or bits filled in there with gunge. Yeah, it just is. It's a great knife, but it's just not one that I would use for those same purposes as the Opinels. So when would I choose to carry this as opposed to some of the other knives? Well, basically it's when that minor weight penalty and versatility is worthwhile, and that generally means standard camping trips. You know, this thing stays with me for most of my normal camping trips, where having a corkscrew for my evenings bottle of wine, or having the tin opener in case I forget to bring the other tin opener, all these things are extra useful. So great knife, great for standard camping trips where I might need the extra versatility, but not, as I say, my number one choice for going out into the woods or the hills for a day or a few days. Next up, we've got the other beast of the multi-tool world, the trusty Leatherman. Other brands also available, such as Gerber. I've always liked my Leatherman though. It is a great versatile tool. You know, the pliers are especially good. It contains a usable crosshead screwdriver, etc. So a great tool. However, for me it's not a great choice for outdoors outdoors adventures. You know, it is much heavier than even the Swiss Army knife. Most of this stuff, I don't need a decent screwdriver in the hills, I don't need a decent pair of pliers in the hills, and as good as these are, and as much as I'll choose to carry this when I'm out boating, in case I need to, to do something something quickly on the engine, or when I'm out on longer trips in the car, for instance, or doing DIY around the house, I'll always have this to hand, but it's not a great tool for outdoors work, for my use cases. The other thing I'm not fond of with the Leatherman is really the knife for sort of camping type uses or things like food prep. That offset of the edge of the blade and the handle kind of actually makes it a bit awkward to cut certain things. It is a good sharp blade, but again it's more of a practical DIY tool and tool for working with, stripping a bit of wire or something like that, rather than a knife that I'd want to use again for filleting a fish. And the horrors of the amounts of scale and fish guts you'd get jammed in here is not worth even thinking about. And finally, in my sort of outdoor knives collection, we kind of get to these kinds of blades. So these are fixed blade sheath knives, and the reality is these are really suitable for things like bushcraft or time in the forest and woods, rather than hiking and trekking in the hills kind of work. Two different styles of this kind of knife I have here. First, this Leica style knife, which is apologies for that dodgy pronunciation, which is a lap style knife, so the kind of blade used by the nomadic reindeer herders of northern Scandinavia and Finland. A really lovely knife, and the kind of thing, as I say, I'd enjoy using for bushcraft or time in the woods. You can, it's a thick, solid blade. You can do things like split kindling with it, trim branches, as well as it's a good food prep knife. Whether you're dressing game or gutting a fish, etc. It's a pretty versatile, useful blade there. The second style I have here is the Pukko style blade. Again, this one's a classic Finnish bushcraft style knife, a sort of a strong blade of this particular shape. Again, a pretty versatile blade, a little bit less, a bit smaller and less versatile for food prep, I'd say, than the Leica style blade, but again a good general purpose wood knife, plenty tough for, again, splitting some kindling or trimming branches, whittling purposes, those kinds of things as well. Everyone's got their own opinion though. I'd be delighted to hear about yours in the comments, whether you think I've got it totally wrong, which is absolutely fine, whether you agree. If you're starting on your outdoors journey though, if it's about trekking, hill walking, backpacking, etc., I'd choose an Opinel. If it's about general purpose camping, I'd choose a Swiss Army knife. If you want something versatile for DIY use, boating, etc., I'd choose the multi-tool like a Leatherman. And if you're into bushcraft, then you're going to need a good sheath knife at some point, and I prefer and favour these Scandinavian style blades.